goes left. Pulls up, looking for the lead, and got it. Jalen Williams, 2 seconds, 1:11, 1:09. Now SGA, probing, piercing, spinning, hanging for the lead, and SGA knocks it down. The Thunder finally get the defensive stop, and SGA puts them in front.
I'm Kenrich Williams. You're listening to Topic Thunder.
And welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Topic Thunder podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Hunsinger at Thunder Chats. We're part of the Believe Network, and this podcast brought to you by BetOnline.ag. Now that's out of the way, we are back to just the dynamic duo once again, and I got to go to the guy coming to us live from the Batcave, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Alejandro, Alex Roy. What up, Alex?
What up, man? I'm good, man. I secured some Wu-Tang tickets for in June 13th in Fort Worth, and Wu-Tang is that's my jam right there. So secured some tickets for Fort Worth, but it does coincide with, I believe it's Game 4 of the NBA Finals if it does happen. So I mean,
that's the closeout game, baby.
Yeah, man. I mean, hey, maybe, but supposedly this is their final world tour for Wu-Tang, so got to go there. And hopefully it's a road game for the Thunder in Game 4. So we'll see.
Wow, that's crazy. You heard it here first. Alex Roy is hoping for the Thunder not to win in 4 in the finals. So.
No, I didn't say that. No, I did not say that. No. I mean, if we win, I'm going to be watching it from a TV anyway. If it's if we're on the road, so.
Nah, I'm just giving you a hard time, man. That I did see that. I know you're hyped about it. I actually got a little hyped whenever I heard Ernie Johnson doing a little bit of narration on there. I was like, okay, Ernie. I haven't dove all the way into Wu-Tang Clan. Chelsea showed me a couple of songs. Chelsea really likes Wu-Tang Clan, so
you're too young. You're too young.
Chelsea's younger than me.
I mean, she knows hip hop. You don't. You're too young.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Anyways, shout out to I want to say this McKeel. First comment, go Thunder. We're going a little bit after the game tonight, so might have some folks trickling in a little bit late. There was a few people on Chelsea's TikTok live earlier that said they were going to be coming on over here. So I think Hayden was in there. Sarah Sellers was in there. So yeah, it was a good old time. But no, we're not talking about Chelsea's TikTok. We're talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder. We got back to our winning ways after the absolute meltdown in Minnesota. We talked about that in the last podcast. But since then, we played the Brooklyn Nets and we played the Atlanta Hawks. And I think we'll talk more about the Hawks game than either of them. But I mean, hey, Alex, let's just kind of jump into it, man. Let's just jump into the single large item. But before we get into that, I know this is a little early for an ad break. I'm monitoring this live because, as you guys know, Underdog is our partner for these past couple months, and I actually put together a six leg combo parlay action, and I'm currently one Isaiah Collier assist away from hitting my 6-legger. So I had Evan Mobley, 16.5 points, got it exactly. Dude had, I think, 4 points going into halftime and halfway through the third quarter, and then he just went off. Malik Beasley, 15.5 points, got it exactly, 16 points. I had Zachary Usachet, 16.5 points, rebounds, assists. He got 21. I had Nikola Jokic, 22.5 rebounds, assists. He had 29. And then in the same game as Isaiah Collier, I had Terrence Shannon scoring higher than 12.5 points. Currently has 15, and that is still going up. That was easy money with Ant out. What's the saying? Rising tide raises all boats. So that was easy money. So now we are just patiently awaiting the Isaiah Collier assist line, and it is 7:15 left in the third quarter. So I feel pretty confident about that. Knock on wood. But you too can make underdog plays. yourself by clicking the link in the description. Use the promo code Thunder. Go ahead, and when you do that, you get up to $1,000 in free credits, as well as one free pick. So time is running out on that current promo. We are hoping that we get to continue our work with Underdog, but for that current promo, time is running out. Isaiah Collier has 10 assists now. I don't know how. I don't know how he jumped from 8 to 10. He's the man, the myth, the legend. We have won. We have won our parlay. It is official. I'm officially much happier than I was 2 seconds ago.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. I did take another live parlay on another betting app, but we'll monitor that as the time goes on. But Alex, single Arjada, man, it's been a little bit since you've got to pod, hasn't it? I don't feel like I've seen you in a little bit.
I literally was on here last week with the
Was you
Dolan
on
pod.
here? Oh, the Dolan pod, right? Oh yeah, that one where I was like so asleep. That's why I couldn't remember anything. I apologize. Well, anyways, why don't you continue and you give us your you get the first single Arjada for this game. There's a few options.
I mean, there is. I just, I like to be a little bit contrarian and not necessarily go for the low hanging fruit all the time. Whenever it's just us two on, you always put me on the spot first. Like,
got to.
So I wanna have something that we can converse and we can talk. Let's go ahead and go with Isaiah Hartenstein coming off the bench. He was actually, if you remember, lots of pods back, back in the beginning of the season, before the season even started, we did our preview, our season preview. I actually picked him to be the sixth man of the year for the Thunder. I actually thought that he was going to come off the bench and Chet's going to start, and there were going to be some games where both of them start together, maybe even matchup dependent. But for the most part, I thought that a healthy team, a healthy Chet, would yield, Isaiah Hartenstein coming off the bench. And, I don't know. I guess it worked. It looked good for the most part. He had a double-double, 13 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. He had an Isaiah Hartenstein game. He had to play probably a little bit more than was planned because Chet sat out the second half of the game with an ankle contusion?
Ankle sprain, yeah.
Yeah, ankle sprain, ankle contusion. He looked pretty good when he was in there, but I guess the team's, being very cautious with Chet. But yeah, man, he looked good out there. His push shot floater was on point tonight. And again, if Chet doesn't get hurt, I think Isaiah Hartenstein, once he would have come back, would have been a great 6-man option for the Thunder and for maybe the parlays and the bettors for him to get 6-man of the year. So yeah, I thought he had a good game. I thought he did a real good job of he got into foul trouble, which he probably would have had a much better game if he wasn't in so much foul trouble in this game. But I thought he did a good job. The Atlanta Hawks, they have some pretty good players and some pretty good big men as far as who is it? Okongwu and
Capella.
What's his name? Capella, yeah. Yep. And so, yeah, did a pretty good job on them and did a good job as far as holding down the interior with Chet being out.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it was kind of shocking, based off of the conversation from last game into this game. Mark Daigneault literally said that, we will be foolish not to, get as many opportunities that, I'm paraphrasing, but, as many opportunities as we can, seeing that lineup, seeing our best 5 together. And, in regards to Chet and Hartenstein. And then he just immediately flipped it on its head and plays Hartenstein off the bench and starting Chet Holmgren. We're back to 5 out, baby. And, right off rip, man, it looked great. It looked great offensively. It looked great defensively. Hartenstein came into the game as the single big, and it was still looking great. Chet subbed into the game later on, and they played a little bit of double big, and they were making great connections. Hartenstein, he had 6 assists. I think 3 of them were to Chet on, lob passes.
Lobs, yeah.
Bro,
big
that one he threw from the 3-point line and Chet caught and reversed. I was just like, what? Yeah. Centers aren't supposed to be able to do that, man. That was very special. And yeah, I think it made a lot of sense. And I think that, I would have liked to see that play out for a full 48 minutes, just kind of see the feel of it. But that's kind of what we always envisioned, right? Going into the offseason, we kind of thought that, the starters will be like Shea, Dort, Dub, Chet, and whoever as the fifth starter. First sub, they'll take Dub out, and they'll bring in somebody in, and then at the end of the first quarter, you bring in Jalen Williams, to start the second, and you bring in Hartenstein with him. You pair them, and you have like Alex Caruso, you have Isaiah Joe, like it just makes sense lineup wise, like. And I get it, it creates a huge advantage when you play Hartenstein and Chet, and this will be another conversation, after we're done with the single large item and everything. But I just think it makes you a lot more harder. That's not proper grammar, but I think it makes you a lot harder.
In some
guard.
situations, it is proper grammar.
Yeah, I think it makes you a lot harder to guard if you have one of them on the floor at all times. And you can pick your spots when you have both of them on the floor, but yeah, I think that the plan going into the night was executed perfectly, and it would have been great if Chet didn't get hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of Chet, I'm gonna kind of smuggle in last game as well, because Chet was awesome against the Brooklyn Nets.
It was great.
Had his best game since his injury. 22 points, 17 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks, 7 of 12 shooting, 2 of 4 from deep, 6 of 7 from the free throw line. Only 1 foul, 4 offensive rebounds. And he was well on his way to another good game against the Hawks. 7 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Shot 3 of 8, 0 of 4 from 3. I'm not taking anything away from those percentages, because most of those shots came after he had hurt his ankle. And, I know that he was able to get some finishes around the rim after he got hurt, but, just throwing off the timing and everything off the jump shot with the ankle. But, yeah, Chet was looking great, and I'm hoping it's just a minor ankle sprain. Hopefully he misses, I don't know, at max 2 games. I want him to be out there, because, we've been able to make it work without Chet or Hartenstein. We've been able to make it work with just Hartenstein. But, when Chet Holmgren is out there, we are a much more dangerous team to the rest of the association. And it's been so fun to see him out there. It's been so fun to see, even in his first game when he was really trying to take it easy, just the impact he was making defensively, spacing the floor offensively. Now that I have it, I don't want it to go away. I need the Chet Holmgren in my life. But yeah, no, shout out to Chet. He was looking great, and hope you get to feeling better soon, sir.
Yeah, I mean, so I think it was a play where he didn't necessarily, it wasn't a normal sprained ankle. I think he just banged his ankle against I think a part of a Kongwu's leg or something like that, and it was just one of those things. That's why they said it was a contusion, not necessarily a sprain. So yeah, I mean, it probably just bothered him a little bit to the touch, and maybe to the pressure of putting your foot down and stuff like that. So hopefully it's nothing big. Hopefully it's something that a little bit of rest here and there. He can go ahead and take care of that. But I mean, when he went out there after he got hurt, I mean, he was fine. Also, I mean, if it was a playoff game, he would have been playing.
Yeah, that was the thing that has me encouraged, is the fact that he was able to go right back out there after his injury, and was playing pretty good. Hi, Chelsea. Chelsea's in the chat.
Hi, Chelsea.
We have the Spurs game on Sunday that is on national television, and obviously the Spurs don't have Wemby or anything like that, so that's a much more low-level game. But we play the Rockets in OKC on Monday. And I'm cool with Chet resting the Spurs game, and I'm cool with Chet resting as much as he needs to. But if I want him back for a game, I want him back for the Rockets, because he just absolutely dominates Alperen Şengün every time they play. So I need that to happen. All right, yeah. Next thing, large item, Alex.
I mean, of course we got to go probably Shea.
Yeah, we should probably talk about the MVP guy.
I mean, no, but I've honestly felt the last couple games, especially at the Brooklyn game, he did good, but the fourth quarter, Dub and Chet probably took a lot of the shine, and the fourth quarter that Kaysen had, and Aaron Wiggins. The Brooklyn game was probably more of a game where it showcased everybody else outside of of SGA. But I think this game, it was more like just, consistent domination, just consistent performance, consistent numbers that you get from Shea. He's 12 of 23 shooting, 3 of 7 from 3, 4 of 4 from the line, 31 points. He didn't get his first free throw till 5:51 left in the game.
I think it was 5:37 was the official time.
Yeah, he's driving in. It's not like he's just shooting jump shots. He's driving in. That whole thing is just so weird because everybody else, every great scoring wing in the league gets to the line so much more as far as percentage wise than does Shea. And I've always said, there's always this thing in my head that because Shea doesn't necessarily argue calls, that the referees kind of take it they don't give him that respect. If he were to argue a lot more, if he were to get a technical here or there, nothing like Anthony Edwards where he's getting, suspended for games and things like that. But if he were to get if I were to look on his stats and he had 5 or 6 or 7 techs, I think he would probably get, a little bit more of the, not respect of the refs. I don't know if that's the word that I'm looking for, but they would know that he is one of the faces of the league. He is one of the stars of the league, and he is complaining. And so usually when that happens, stars start to get calls. They start to get, Anthony Edwards. He got that tech, on the second game that we played him, and he got a lot more calls after that. And actually, that kind of shocked the momentum of the Thunder. He went to the line a lot more times, and kind of helped them in winning that game. So I just think that Shea needs to be a little bit more vocal. I understand that he is, this is him. I understand that, he is not one that argues with calls. He's not one that, likes to show out in front of the refs or anything like that. And I get it. It's okay. But when you are this caliber of player and you are this kind of offensive engine and you're not getting calls, and those plays end in bad shots, those plays end in turnovers, those plays end in, that does start to affect your team somehow, some way. And so, I do wish that he would argue a little bit more, that he would, that he would plant his flag a little bit more. But as far as this game, I mean, he was great, man. He was, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, plus 23. He led the team in plus minus. Whenever he was out there, the team dominated. Whenever he sat, kind of the team didn't dominate quite as much. And so, MVP type shit,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, it's funny, you talked about the Brooklyn game. It didn't feel like he really had that as much of an impact as he has been having. And it's because they're just throwing doubles as soon as he crosses the half court line. And he still had 27, 6, 5, 2 steals on 7-11 shooting. He was still just absolutely killing it. But no, tonight was awesome because, as you said, he didn't shoot a single free throw until almost more than halfway through the fourth quarter. He only shot 4 on the game. He was going against who many people believe is one of the best perimeter defenders in the game, the great barrier thief, Dyson Daniels, and it didn't slow him down at all. Shot over 50% from the field, shot 3 of 7 from 3, which, hey, keep up that volume, Shea. That's all I got to say. 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. He was absolutely getting after it. And never felt like he was forcing it, never felt like he was, just letting loose. He was always playing within himself and actively keeping his teammates involved. And because he was keeping his teammates involved, they all kind of stayed in rhythm. And you had, Dub score 20, Dort score 20, Aaron Wiggins had 13, Isaiah Joe had 12 early on.
Isaiah
Leader.
was on his way to having one of those games.
Yeah, no, he was about to have what was it, Georges Niang had 30. He had 30 points the other night on 9 threes or something. Yeah, Isaiah Joe was about to do that. I know you don't play Marvel Rivals, so when I send this in the chat, you're always like, "What the heck is he talking about?" But basically, in Marvel Rivals, every player has an ultimate move, and they have a tagline that they say when they bring in their ultimate move. Okay. And so Moon Knight's is like it's called the Fist of Khonshu. He like raises his Ankh and a portal opens in the sky and like basically like fists just like pound down on like everybody in the radius. But when he does it, he screams, "The moon haunts you." And
Oh,
so I've been, we've always said that Isaiah Joe has a moon ball. So now I've just accustomed it to the moon ball haunts you.
the old man on the podcast now understands.
There you go. There you go. And then also, I sent this to you the other day. Whenever Shay got an AM1, then I quote to it, it said again with the picture of Bucky, the Winter Soldier. His alt, it's called Armed and Dangerous. I don't really know how, but his arm turns to like an octopus, and he jumps in the air and punches. And if he hits somebody, he can do it again. So he'll say Armed and Dangerous, and he'll hit somebody, and then he'll jump up and say and again. So,
Okay, cool.
there you go. Marvel Rivals reference for Alex. You got it now. I have like a whole intro with Marvel Rival references prepared for when Tyranny and Cone are on here, but I'm sorry, I gotta save it for them because all of them would just right over your head.
It would be lost on me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
But all right, yeah, my single large item for the day. I mean, Master Blaster brought it up. Lou Dort, man, he got out of that slump, and he got out of that slump in a big way.
Thank you.
20. Yeah, I know. We need him. 20 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals. Shot 7 of 13, 6 of 11 from 3. And like, you can see how Dort feels from shooting, just based on the volume of his 3-point shots. Like, if he's not making it, he's not chucking. Like, he's never going to put up like a 2 for 11 performance. Like, in this stage of his career. Like, I mean, I could go back and look, but like, I want to say in the Brooklyn game, I'm going to guess he was like 1 of 4. Let me see here. He was 1 of 5. Man, I'm so good.
Yeah.
I'm so good. But yeah, no, 6 of 11 tonight. And like, like I said, when he's feeling it, he's feeling it. And locked in defensively, like absolutely just took Trae Young out of this game.
Destroyed Trae Young.
Yeah, 19 points, well, which is fine, but 5 of 14 shooting and forced 3 turnovers. Of course, Trae Young's going to get his assists. He had 12 assists because, that's like his elite skill and in this stage of his career. But in terms of like just eliminating from the game, Lou Dort absolutely did his job and a lot more.
Yeah, man, it was he did a great job. Like it's good to see this Lou Dort because we haven't seen it in a while, and it was almost like, does he need to break his finger again and get that get that cast on his finger and shoot that way, because it just kind of seemed, and maybe that's something that affected his shot. Now that I don't know if he still has his finger in that thing, but it's been a while, so I'm pretty sure he probably doesn't have that cast anymore. That has to keep his finger straight, and so maybe he's kind of having to relearn how to shoot his shot because of that. And so I just thought, I thought about that whenever I saw him shooting tonight. I was like, okay, we're back. Hopefully this continues on. Hopefully, because it's like, this is the Lou Dort roller coaster. He has hot streaks, and then he has cold streaks, and then he has hot streaks, and then he's very streaky when it comes to his shooting. Usually steps up in big games, playoff games, play-in games, those types of things. But in the ebbs and flow of an 82 game season, you ride the roller coaster a lot of times with him, and so hopefully we are, going back to having a hot streak in March. So we'll see.
Yep, absolutely, man. All right, Alex, let's do one more single large item each. So going back to you, man, single large item, me.
I mean, I want to go Dub, but I'm gonna take your single large item.
What a turd!
And I'm gonna go Cason Wallace. He's been, honestly, like, to be completely honest with you, it's gotten to the point where I'm like, if Lou kind of starts regressing like at least we have Kaysen type thing. I'm not saying no, skirt. I'm not saying that. No. But if it's a situation where like if Lou starts to regress for whatever reason, as far as the shooting goes, we have Kaysen out there, and we do have Caruso, but I think Caruso is fully a bench player. I don't think he's necessarily a starter on this team. But Kaysen Wallace, man, that Brooklyn game was turned on its head whenever he went into the game in the fourth quarter, and just single-handedly, got those steals, got those dunks, got those transition points. Essentially took the momentum completely away from Brooklyn, and just he was the catalyst that pushed that team forward in the fourth quarter, and they never looked back from that point. And then tonight, more of a subdued game, but still a consistent game for him. 4 of 9 shooting, 8 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. He's just extremely consistent at what he does. He's great defensively. Opponents. Trae Young was just trapped in he was in a cocoon out there, man. Like if he got past Dort, or if Dort was on the bench, Kaysen was out there. It was just like one of those things where, those two guys, you saw that the ability they have to completely frustrate the best perimeter player on an opposing team. And so I thought he did great. And I honestly think, I know we're going to get into this later, later in the podcast, but I honestly think that the Thunder with one big and Kaysen out there probably start games off a little bit better than they would with 2 bigs. Probably matchup dependent, but for the most part, most of the league is basically 1 big and then 4 guard wings out there. And so if you have that, I do think that starting lineup works a lot better in this NBA. And we usually have a better, combination of the 5 players as opposed to everybody else, and our record has shown that throughout the season.
Yeah, man. No, Kaysen's been absolutely nuts. Not just like the counting stats, just the energy he provides. Like it's intangible, but it's very tangible as well. Like you can feel it when he's on the court. Specifically, just wreaking havoc, just creating turnovers, and like that dunk in the Brooklyn game, like that was the play. That was the catalyst. That was like the we're not losing this game play. And he had some good plays tonight. He had one where he crossed up and scored on his brother Keaton, so that was really cool to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Kaysen is very important to this team and their future. And I agree with you. I think that we'll hash out the whole double big conversation here in a little bit, but it's no secret that I prefer the 5-out system, and I think that Kaysen is like the perfect starter just because he gives you another defender out there. Like you don't lose anything having Kaysen and Dort out there at the same time because you still have Caruso to come off the bench. Like you're not losing, that bench defender to come off and guard the flamethrower off the other team's bench. Like you still have that, and it makes the starters' lives just like absolutely terrible. So yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Yeah, we kind of mentioned Isaiah Joe, just going on an absolute heater. In 11 points, he had 12 minutes, shot 4 of 8 from the 3-point line. Again, just love that volume. And they're not all catch and shoot varieties. There's a couple of them that were like
motion.
Curls off. Yeah, they were like curls off of DHOs, off pin downs. And this is something that he's been working through this year. Obviously, he struggled early on, but it feels like it's really starting to click with him, and that's a terrifying prospect because he was already one of the best 3-point shooters in the league, and now you're just adding this new dimension, new dynamic to his game, and it's gonna be really scary.
Yeah, man, that's he did struggle at the beginning of the year, but we did say, and it was mentioned within the coaching staff and Mark Daignault, and that they are wanting Isaiah Joe to shoot other kinds of 3-point shots, not just, sitting still, catch and shoot. No, they want motion, especially with the addition of Hartenstein. You want if you have a big man that can set screens, and you have somebody like Isaiah Joe that can hit the three in a multitude of ways, you want him to start developing that, I guess, autonomy as a 3-point shooter, not necessarily needing the ball sent to him, but being able to get 3-point shots on his own. And we saw the struggles in the beginning of the year, and now we're reaping the fruits. We're reaping the benefits now, as far as that. Yeah, because he's, like I said, he was on his way to have one of those games. He had 11 minutes out there. He had 12 points. He was 4 of 8. 11 minutes in, he had already shot 8 3-pointers. Like, that is what you want. That is what you want with Isaiah Joe. That is the kind of pressure that you want, the offensive pressure that you want out there, when you have Shea, when you have Dub, when you have Chet. And so, yeah, I mean, he was on his way.
Yeah, and then, just real quick, talking about Dub, had 20 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. Also had 1 steal as well. Didn't shoot great with 6 of 16 from the field, but was 4 of 8 from 3. And I need to actually look this up because I was meaning to. I wanted to tweet this out. Well, if I can get off of that. I want to see what he's been shooting for the month of February, and also like the last few games here. You got any guesses as to how good he's shooting from 3 in the month of February?
I would say 37.
He is shooting 35.4. That's before tonight, so I would have to add that in tonight. So I'd say that probably jumps it up to around 37. So yeah, I think you're right. Let me see.
Not just a hat rack, my friend. Not just a hat rack.
I want to see. I'm going to try to let's do the last 2 weeks.
Let's say
it's literally the exact same. He was at 34.5. Yeah. So yeah, no, it feels like he's been shooting a lot better, and kind of like with Dort, like as his shot falls, he's willing to shoot more. Earlier in the year, he had many games where he shot like 2, 3, 4 3-pointers a game. Like I want double that out of Jalen Williams specifically.
Yeah.
Like, especially after what we've seen from him early in his career as a shooter. I need more of that. Yeah, the passing though, like those 8 assists, I think 6 of them were in the first. I want to say quarter, but it might have been half. Actually, let me look.
They were in the first half. They were in the second quarter whenever a lot of those were in the second quarter whenever Shea was sitting.
Yeah, three in the first quarter, 3 in the second quarter.
I made a mental note that I was like, it almost feels like Dub is on his way to like a triple-double type game. The rebounds, whatever. But I felt like he was on his way to like a double-double type game because his assists were racking up there in that second quarter.
Yeah, well, I thought Iheart was going to go out in the third quarter because somebody like banged into his mask, and I was like, "Oh, we're about to see small ball thunder again." Yeah. But thankfully, we did not. Obligatory shout out to Aaron Wiggins saving the game of basketball once again. 13 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 of 10 shooting, 3 of 5 from deep, and it's just common occurrence, man. Like, it's really funny. Vegas hasn't caught on. Like their lines for him are like 10.1, 11.1 points. Mm-hmm. And it's like, brother, he's been doing that for almost a month now. So, yeah, shout out Aaron Wiggins. Continue saving basketball. Continue saving our bank accounts. We definitely appreciate you.
He's definitely going to be on my watch list for 6th man of the year next year.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks because, like, Peyton Pritchard's had like bigger spike games. Like there's guys that have had bigger spike games, but like,
I mean, it's too late for him this year.
Yeah. If he was doing this like all year long on like this like efficiency and like again like not crazy spike games. Like he does have some spike games, but a lot of it's just the consistency. Yeah, he could absolutely be a sleeper for 6th man of the year. It'd be so cool if we just like sweep the awards next year. Everybody stays healthy, and
they would never allow it.
We get a Shea MVP, a Chet Depoy, Aaron Wiggins 6th man of the year. I was gonna throw out a random rookie for rookie of the year, but I couldn't just pull one off the top of my head that seemed realistic. So
I've been told that once somebody wins Coach of the Year, they cannot win it again unless they become one of the elite of the elite, Hall of Fame type coach. So. Although Mike
Well,
Brown has won it twice, which is so weird because he
wow.
wins it and then he gets fired like 2 years later on cue.
Yes. Well, hey, when Mark Daigneault three-peats, maybe they'll give him some respect. So,
Maybe they will.
all right, we're going to take a break to hear a word from our sponsors. When we get back, we're going to talk about the subject that probably has the most discourse in Thunderland since the days of Josh Giddey. After a word from our sponsors. And we are back after hearing a word from our sponsors, our lovely sponsors, by the way. Make note that I called them lovely. Alex, specifically after the Brooklyn Nets game, there was a lot of chatter online, people picking sides about the double big lineup. A part of the reason that the Nets were able to stay in that game is because they were on a scorcher from the 3-point line, and I get it. You kind of let the Nets shoot. Like, I think, like, between, like, Day'Ron Sharpe, Keon Johnson, Killian Hayes, they made, like, 7 threes or something like that, and those guys are not guys that, you would scout to be good three-point shooters. But part of that goes into they were open threes. And why they were open threes is because the defense that the Thunder were playing, having two bigs on the floor, not being able to have the foot speed or the quickness to get out and contest those shots. And, Mark Daigneault commented on it. Everybody and their mamas have given their opinion on it. Alex, I want to ask your opinion on it. What is your kind of overarching opinion on the double big lineup as it stands today?
I think it's a great tool to have in your toolbox. I do agree with what Mark was saying after the Brooklyn game, where basically it's like, we have our two guys now, and let's see what it looks like for a couple of games. Let's get some data, some information on it, and let's kind of stress test it in different scenarios against different teams, and to see what happens. Here's the beautiful thing about this season. We are currently 9.5 games up on Denver. We have essentially sewn up the Western Conference. And so, over these next couple of, 48 and 11, so 23 games left? Over these next 23 games, like, you're going to see a lot of sitting. You're going to see a lot of experimenting. You're going to see a lot of, you're going to see a lot of games where, like, this team isn't trying that hard, because at this point, the team doesn't have to exert so much. You want to see what you have out there, especially, now that you have a semblance of health on your team, which you haven't had all season. And so you want to go ahead and kind of go ahead and see what this team can do when healthy. What different lineups, what different weapons you have, what different variations you have of this team that can be thrown out there in the playoffs and and in certain situations. And so I look at it and I think that Mark is just essentially, if this was the beginning of the season and we would have been healthy, we would have been seeing a lot more of this, and I think we would have eventually kind of settled into this pattern of one big and Case and Wallace starting as the fourth wing out there. And so it's just experimentation at this point. What have I seen? I think we're doing pretty good offensively. I think defensively, I don't think Chet is necessarily made for defending on the perimeter. As far as an A grade, if you want to B, C grade, he's good. But if you want to continue on with the defense that got you to this point in the season, I think it's one big, and you move forward from there. So those are my thoughts on it. I do like it, and I do think that there will be some teams that it does work a lot. It does look a lot better against them than it does against more perimeter-oriented Brooklyn Nets. A bunch of wings just running around crazy out there. But yeah, man, I think it's for a look. It's to see. It's to get some information. But ultimately, our best way that we play is one big, four wings.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I actually pulled up some lineup data from PvP stats. I tweeted it out the other day, but for the folks that didn't get to see it, the Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein lineup, you're being on the floor together, had only played 90 minutes together before tonight's game. In those 90 minutes, they actually had a 124.21 offensive rating, which is better than Chet on the floor, iHeart off, iHeart on the floor, Chet off, or both players off the floor. So the offense is actually better when they're on the floor together, which, kind of makes sense. Chet can space the floor. iHeart has the playmaking. Chet's able to, drive in on the slower bigs. So, kind of makes sense. Defensively, like you were saying, like it looks kind of muddy defensively, is kind of where it falls off a cliff. So Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein off the floor, our defense is at a 108.11. iHeart on, Chet off, it's at a 105.89. Chet on, iHeart off is 100.96. So that's actually the best of the four options. Yeah. But when they are both on the floor together, our defensive rating is a 116.76. So that's not good. Obviously, like this is a lineup that you want to get some looks at. You want to get some experimentation. And I get that 100%. My whole thing is I think you could do that without making that your starting lineup. Mm-hmm. I also get that, maybe the Thunder just don't care about the regular season. And if that's how they feel, I'm cool with it. Like Alessandro Reggio 7 points out that we're 12 wins away from matching the OKC's era record, and we're 13 wins away from breaking it. So I think those records still get broken, but I just it would. I don't know. They're just something as a fan, it would be cool to say, oh, we won 67. We won 67 games, 68 games, 69 games. It would really nice to say that we won 69 games, but
very nice.
I understand, Mark wants to experiment, but and I agree with you. I think that it should be like a matchup thing. I think that, it's effective against some matchups and it's not effective against some other ones. So I want to go through the Western Conference standings before you get off, because I know you got to get off here soon, and we can close with this.
We can roll. We can roll.
Okay. Well, I want to go down the Western Conference standings here, and I want you to tell me which team, or if this team is good for a double big lineup.
Okay.
All right. Actually, we're going to go backwards. We're going to make it fun. Just humor me a second. Utah Jazz.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. New Orleans Pelicans.
No.
I agree.
Well, I mean, yeah. So I haven't been following the Pelicans because they're ass. Are they still using like Yves Messi and Williamson together, Zion together?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think Dub is probably a little bit better of an option to guard Zion, or is like iHeart better for Zion and then you put Chet on Missy?
I think Zion's blown by a heart every time to the rim if he wanted
to. Probably, yeah. Yeah, I mean that's probably pick your poison, and probably you're doing team defense on Zion.
Yeah, that's fair. Spurs as constructed.
No.
Bismack Biyombo.
Thunder legend, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. Portland Trailblazers.
No. If they start Grant and then a big, then no. But if they, trot out two of their bigs, they have like three or four. Who they have? Robert Williams. They have
Klingon. Ayton's
hurt. Oh, Ayton's hurt. Okay. It just depends. Matchup dependent again. But if they're just a big and Jeremy Grant or smaller, then no.
All right. Suns.
No.
Yeah, I agree. As much as we would like Chet Holmgren to be able to just lock up Kevin Durant, I don't think he's there yet. Sacramento Kings.
No.
I agree. They really only start Sabonis and then four other guards.
Exactly. So.
Yeah.
Who's
Dallas
their four?
Mavericks.
Their four is Murray, right? Keegan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dallas Mavericks
Dallas Mavericks.
fully healthy.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. I think PJ Chet match. Well, full healthy. I don't know how are they playing that? Are they because
Well,
AD
I
says he
mean,
doesn't want to play the five.
exactly. So, I mean, fully healthy. You have AD at the four, and you have one of the two centers
Gafford, I guess,
at the
or
five. Yeah.
Lively. Yeah. Yeah. Either way,
I mean, here's the thing. Like, a lot of people are brushing them off. A fully healthy Dallas team is a scary team for like one round in the playoffs. Like, you're talking about, like, that's a huge lineup right there. When you talk
Mhm.
about AD, one of the best defensive big men in the league, then you have Gafford or you have Lively, who aren't bad as defenders, as rim protectors. And then PJ Washington with his 7'2" wingspan, and just being like kind of bulky and kind of big, like that's a big team to kind of have to contend with. Like, it's kind of like the Lakers were last year. You had LeBron out there, you had AD. Um, they were just a big team, and so we tended to struggle against them. But now that we have iHeart, now we can kind of play into that and maybe even be the better team in that version. But it's still gonna be tough if they're fully healthy.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you also got Kyrie on the offensive end. You got Klay Thompson. I know everybody wants to say that he's washed, but this is a guy that has done it before. He's not
Yeah.
shooting bad this year. I'd have to look up what he's shooting, but I think he's shooting pretty good
And
from the
like, the
3
thing
point
the thing
line.
about the thing about Clay is he can win you a game in the playoffs. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he's
We've
done it
seen
so
it.
many times. We've seen it, broken our hearts before. But yeah,
Yeah,
he can win you a game.
yeah, for sure. All right, Minnesota Timberwolves.
Healthy, yes. Not well. I don't know because do they don't normally start. Yeah, because it's Julius Randle. Um, I would say healthy, yes. I would
Mm-hmm.
say this current construction where it's Naj Reid and then Anthony Edwards and others. I would say no.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Golden State Warriors.
No, hell no.
Yes. Los Angeles Clippers.
No,
Yep. Houston Rockets.
no,
Lakers.
no.
Okay, and Grizzlies.
Um, I would say no because you don't want to clog up the paint. Like, you want to go ahead and use that matchup with just having Edie out there and just completely, put him through the course with SGA, and so you don't want to have necessarily two bigs out there. You want, five out.
Honestly, Edie gets played off the floor a lot of the time.
I mean, he does, yeah.
All right, and then the last one is the Denver Nuggets.
And I mean, before we move, like, we talk about Edie, but they also have Triple J. But Triple J is, one of the worst rebounding big men out there. Like, he's not necessarily,
Yeah,
on the
no, he's not a
perimeter.
good rebounder.
Yeah, he's not necessarily on the interior. He's always on the perimeter, and so, yeah. Denver, no.
Okay, I
Yeah, because
respect it.
they don't play with Gordon anymore. As far as like starting, he comes off the bench, and so they have basically a big and four out. So yeah,
Okay, yeah. So basically, like I'd say, like there was like 5 matchups there, like in the entire Western Conference that
Mhm.
we would need the double big for. So in the end, like they're gonna collect their data. I understand, and there's some teams that might be smaller that you could dictate matchups with by playing double big. But I mean, I think the proof is in the pudding from last season and the stretches that we saw from this season. I mean, the early on Thunder, I don't think people remember this, but like, before Chet got hurt, like that was the team that kick-started us in this team could be historically great. This is the team that
Yeah,
could have like the best net rating of all time. Like what they was able to do, small ball and Isaiah Hartenstein's awesome, but like it's not possible without what they were able to do at the beginning of the season. And
Mhm.
that was a single big 5-out system. So that's kind of my thinking there. But I do think that we've seen them succeed a little bit with the double big. I think they just really need to figure out the defense. They really need to figure out defensive assignments because Chet is kind of used to playing next to the rim. Isaiah Hartenstein's obviously used to playing next to the rim. Ideally, in that scenario, you want Chet as a roamer, but I think that teams are starting to take advantage of that and kick out to the open guy whenever Chet comes over help side. So we've really got to – and, the Thunder do a great job of rotating and pre-rotating, but you can't cover up every mistake when you have two big men out there. So it'll be interesting to see.
And, like, what I saw a lot of times in, like, the Minnesota games and the Brooklyn game is once you pump fake Chet, his natural instinct is to react. And once he does that, they're going past him. And even though, like, you can kind of recover a little bit because of his length, like NBA offenses are designed to, pump fake, drive in, kick out. Pump fake, drive in, kick out. And our defense is designed to sink in. And then we run out to the open three-point shooter. And so, these last couple games, we've allowed teams to kind of come back or to build up a lead on us based off of that three-point shot. Again, percentages usually work themselves out, happened in the Brooklyn game, but we also played a lot better defense in that Brooklyn game in the second half than we did in the first half. So yeah. But, I mean, hey, again, 9.5 game cushion between us and Denver, us and number 2 in the West. This is the time to experiment. You don't want to go into the playoffs and throw out something completely brand new and not know how to use it. We've done that before. We've seen that before with the Thunder where something's not working. Josh Giddey isn't working, and then we have to go ahead and, start, with Isaiah Joe. And it didn't work. It didn't quite look as comfortable as it should have because we didn't try it out during the season.
Or putting Oladipo at point. Or at backup point guard in game 3 of the series. Good times. But yeah, no.
Starting Corey Brewer. Just great times in Thunder lore.
Thunder 48-11. Our next 2 games are the Spurs and the Rockets. That'd be really cool to have 50 wins before we hit 12 losses. It's very arbitrary, but I don't care. I'm saying it. I think it would be really cool. I want to go on record saying I think it would be really cool. Alex, what are your predictions for the Spurs and Rockets game, the 2 games that will be played before we podcast once again?
Give me 2-0.
All right, my man. I'll go one further. Does Chet play in either game?
He doesn't play in the San Antonio game.
Okay.
But I mean, I think he doesn't play in it regardless because it was going to be a back-to-back.
Yeah.
So I think now, they are able to go ahead and rest him for the first game, and then they bring him in on the second game.
Yeah, more consecutive days of rest too. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking 2-0. I think that the Thunder are starting to find themselves again. And, obviously it sucks that, Joe went out tonight and Chet went out tonight and Hartenstein's playing with a mask and it's very bothersome to him, very clearly bothersome to him. But, they're figuring it out and it feels like the rest of the players are starting to catch a groove and hopefully everybody can finally get healthy again and everybody can get on the same page and on rhythm, as we get into the playoffs.
Yeah. I just want to reiterate for maybe somebody who didn't watch the game or anything. Isaiah Joe didn't necessarily go out with an injury. He just went out with back soreness. So, usually, you're sleeping in a hotel. Sometimes you don't sleep right. The pillows are too soft. We all know about that. So yeah, that may have been it. So hopefully that was just it. It wasn't anything where he tweaked it too badly or it was a muscle issue. Like he was just back soreness.
He's got the Tyrese Halliburtonitis from earlier in the season. So, as I think El Sombra Reggio brought up earlier, he said, he kind of expects us to bream it the wheel at the 23rd of March. He also said, sorry for misspelling. So I have no idea what he was trying to say. But anyways, our game that we are going to be having, our Top of Thunder Live event, will be the 21st of March against the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets are a fun team. They still got LaMelo Ball out there. They still got Mark Williams, the rescinded trade guy. They got Miles Bridges putting up numbers, Nick Smith putting up numbers. Like, they've got bucket getters. They'll put up, a fun game. But I expect the Thunder to dominate. You get to see a historically great team in Oklahoma City. And tickets are still live on our Twitter at OKC-Thunder. They will be live for, I think, another week or so. So time, like when I say time is running out, like time is absolutely running out. I think the only other tickets left are upper level. This is a $16 purchase, and it will get you the tickets to the game, get you on the court, take pictures, big group picture with the whole gang at Top of Thunder listeners. Then you shoot a half-court shot on the Thunder court for a chance to win a basketball signed by the entire basketball team. So, by the entire Oklahoma City Thunder basketball team, I should say. So, definitely don't miss out on that. Go to our Twitter at OKC-Thunder. Follow us while you're there. If you're in the chat, thank you for being in the chat. Go ahead and comment how you feel about the double big lineup. Like the video if you have not already. Subscribe if you've not already. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out when we go live. And until then, hope everybody has a great night. God bless. Hooping you can. And as always, Thunder up.
Thunder up.